What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from the Jersey Shore, and I'm back with you today to give you my review of Fede Alvarez's reimagining of Sam Raimi's cult classic, Evil Dead. If you're already a subscriber to my channel, welcome back. It's good to see you again. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, what in the world are you doing? Go ahead and click that subscribe button right now. Get that out of the way. So the Evil Dead begins with a girl running around out in the forest. She seems to be hiding from a couple guys. You see a couple guys in the background wandering around, obviously looking for her. You see a shot of her looking left. She's hiding behind a tree, and a dude comes around from the right and puts a sack over her head. The next thing you see, somebody's holding her down on the ground with a sack over her head, and a dude comes up from the other side and bashes her in the head with the butt of a shotgun. The next thing you see is this girl, you see through her eyes, you see meshing like she's got a hood over her head. Pull the hood off, and her father's standing in front of her. So with good reason, the girl is obviously going to be upset. She's asking for her mother, and the father says, "Mommy's not here, baby. You killed her." The father immediately starts dumping something on top of this girl's head, presumably gasoline, and poof, he lights his daughter on fire. His daughter responds by laughing at him and saying that she will rip his soul out like she did his whore. Next thing you see is Daddy say, "I'm sorry, baby," and blows his daughter away with a shotgun. Clearly, this here family has some issues. The screen goes black, and the Evil Dead text comes across the screen, accompanied by some very loud music, which made me just about jump out of my seat. So the main part of our story involves a young girl named Mia. She apparently has a drug problem, and she is at a cabin in the woods with her brother, her brother's girlfriend, and two of their other friends. One of the friends there is actually a nurse, and she's not only there because she's a friend, but she's also there to assist Mia through any withdrawal she has during this recovery period. So after Mia has spent a little bit of time trying to get clean, she goes outside, she's running around in the woods, and one of the friends goes down in the basement, and he comes across some book that looks to be bound in leather. That book is actually bound in flesh and looks something like this. Unfortunately for our friends, this is the Book of the Dead. So unfortunately, this friend decides to get out a pair of pliers, break open this book, and he begins to read passages from this book. And when he does so, something shows up in the woods with Mia. At this point, you get a classic scene from sort of a nod to Sam Raimi's original film. You have what I have to assume is a Steadicam running through the woods, and it almost looks like it's from your point of view and you're running. So this camera runs up to Mia, and she begins to vomit. She looks off in the distance, and she sees something looking back at her that actually looks just like her. Only it's not just like her, it's really friggin' evil. Because of this, Mia starts running. She gets tangled up in some vines and some weeds, and she looks up, and there's something standing there. The thing that she was running from is standing there looking at her, and something black, it looks like a giant black snake comes out of its mouth, falls on the ground, gets to Mia, and winds up someplace that this thing simply should not be. So eventually her brother and her friends find her, and they bring her back to the house. She's acting very strangely, she's acting very paranoid, and she simply is not acting like herself. She eventually tells her brother that something was in the woods with her, and now she thinks, there was something out there in the woods, and now I think it's in the house with us. They've got company. So at this point, basically the shit hits the fan. I don't want to give away too many story details of how this all plays out, but what I will say is that it is incredibly violent. It is impeccably gory. They must have had gallons, if not buckets, if not trucks loaded with blood for the special effects in this movie. One person is caught trying to cut their face off with a piece of broken mirror. One person is trying to cut their own arm off with an electric knife. It's an Evil Dead movie, so of course there's a chainsaw. Not to mention the nail gun that comes into play. Toward the end of this movie, when the shit really, really hits the fan, there's some demon that shows up that looks like a naked Marilyn Manson covered in blood. And the Marilyn Manson looking dude is covered in blood because it is raining blood. I thought only Slayer rained in blood. If you're somebody who is easily upset with blood and with violence and with gore, you have no business watching this movie. For people like me who love this stuff, I can't even accurately articulate or put into words how good this movie is. This is easily, hands down, without a doubt, the best of the remakes that I saw. And this movie really is not a remake. That's why at the beginning of this I called it a reimagining. It's really not a remake at all. Yes, it takes place in a cabin like the original did. It's got some of the same camera work that the original movie did. Some of the events that take place in this movie are similar or in the same vein. There actually is also my favorite nod to the original movie is towards the beginning. They show Mia sketching or doodling, sitting on the hood of a car that's all rusted out and sitting in the woods. And that car is actually the Buick that belonged to Ash in the original Evil Dead series. For me, when I was doing my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time, this movie was on that list all the way up until the very end. And I would honestly say that this movie is probably, if it's not in my top 10, this movie has to probably be number 11. I thought Fede Alvarez did a phenomenal job with this movie. I saw this in the movie theater by myself, and I was so excited to go and see this movie. And when I walked out of the theater, I was more happy than I expected to be. Most of the time, I like the remakes that come out or the reimaginings that come out. But when I leave the theater or when I finish watching the movie, there usually is some level of disappointment because if I like the original movie, if I have that on a high pedestal, it's very hard for a remake or a reimagining to live up to those expectations. Like the Dr. Sleep movie, that's the way I felt about that. It was very difficult for that to live up to what I expected from a sequel to The Shining. As far as the Evil Dead goes, I had none of that. This is my favorite Evil Dead movie of the entire series. I like it better than Evil Dead. I like it better than Evil Dead 2. And I certainly like it better than Army of Darkness. I loved everything about this movie. The effects were great. The acting was great. The sets were great. Everything about this movie was great. I know that there are an awful lot of people out there who are tired of the remakes, who don't like the remakes, who thinks that the remakes are unnecessary and that Hollywood has run out of good ideas. Well, the hell with all that. If you want to see a really good, violent, gory movie, watch The Evil Dead. This movie right here is spectacular. All right, folks, that is going to do it for my review of The Evil Dead. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I would love for you to go on this journey with me. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching.